There was nothing known as HR. It was
Uh-huh.
personal administration. Human resources, what came into picture was human capital. At the moment you say
Right.
capital, it starts getting measured.
I think digitization is changing how companies attract talent, assess talent, onboard talent.
So you could be the best IIT guy running for an engineering job, but you don't fit into the culture of my organization. You are not a good quality hire.
Are we really digitizing people's problems, or are we just, making quick band-aid fixes for existing legacy issues? Yes.
AI is not something that it's a magic wand and will come and solve everything for you. If you
Hmm.
step out of that mentality, AI is good to go.
Hmm.
I would call it ITA,
Uh-huh. Interesting.
intelligent talent acquisition.
Ah, got it. Not an assistant.
Yes.
Ah, I thought you would probably call it an intelligent talent agent. Hello, everyone. Today on Talent Superheroes, we are joined by somebody who's not only built, implemented system, but built them across industries, across decades, and often from the ground up. Sandeep Kumar has led everything from large-scale ERP rollouts to AI-driven recruitment systems, has played the role of a CIO before, he's looked at shared services, and currently as the head of digitization, integration, and shared services at PI Industries, he's reshaping how HR works across the entire hire to retire journey. Beyond work, Sandeep's a true polymath, interested in astroscience, painting, music, a rare mix of structure and soul. Sandeep, welcome to the show. You're a true talent superhero. Thank you for making time.
Thank you. My pleasure to be here.
Let me start by asking, right? I think astroscience is very unique as part of your personality. Was it pattern spotting, curiosity, or just, the joy of exploring something beyond?
So I got interested in it at the age of 15 when people started talking about astrology
Uh huh.
and then the planets and then the science behind it and how you calculate it and then how does it translate into results,
Mm-hmm.
and was very lucky to have a couple of good gurus, especially one of them who was a maths student himself, though an astrologer,
Uh huh.
and he was not
Uh
one
huh.
of those classical astrologers that you would put it. And then
Uh
I
huh.
got interested in planets and how they work and how they affect people, whether they affect or not, and hence
Uh
a
huh.
lot of academic study on that is something that I have followed.
It's good to get a view into one of your passions. I want to get into the other passion, right? And that's largely about HR digitization, and
Yes,
I really want to look at the how HR is in the digital age. I think HR was once seen as a support function, focused on compliance, administration, but with the advent of AI, even more so, CHROs are expected to think like CIOs, right? Drive transformation, business transformation, productivity levers. When did you first feel that shift? And what sparked your own move towards digitization?
okay. uh, See, I'll go back quite a few years. My initial years there, when I started working in one of the Indian large business houses, there was nothing known as HR. It was
Uh-huh.
personal administration.
Right,
And
right,
which means, I mean, you hire people, you look after them, they leave the organization, end of the story. There
right.
was no measure, no data behind it.
Uh-huh.
Then this came this of people started measuring
Uh-huh.
talent.
Uh-huh.
That is when this, rather than human resources, what came into picture was human capital. At the moment you say
Right.
capital, it starts getting measured.
Uh-huh.
So probably start of The decade of 2010 is when I realized, I mean, by that time it was, of course, very mature, that you have to
Uh-huh.
get into a field where you start managing and measuring this thing. And
Uh-huh.
the moment you started adding mathematics to talent,
Uh-huh.
there were metrics around. You started measuring the
Right.
capacity of people. You started measuring the type of talent people have. You started measuring people on how and why you would promote somebody,
Right.
how you would
Right.
develop somebody. And that's the time I got intrigued. Didn't get an opportunity to work directly in HR at that time, but around
Uh-huh.
2018-19 is
Uh-huh.
finally I took this plunge into digitization of HR. While I had been
Uh-huh.
digitizing finance, digitizing other functions like production and all using ERP and other things, this is the
Uh-huh.
time when I got into digitizing HR. And then it has been a journey.
Very interesting, especially because I
Yes,
resonate,
correct,
with the whole term of the moment you start looking at things as capital. I think you value it a little bit more too. And generally, what you measure is what you improve. So let me kind of get one step away from HR and go deeper into
correct,
specifically hiring.
correct,
Right? I think digitization is changing how companies attract talent, assess talent, onboard talent. And change kind of brings questions, right? What's worth fixing? What's just a layer on new problems? So what I'm trying to get at is, are we really digitizing people's problems, or are we just making quick band-aid fixes for existing legacy issues?
See, the bigger question is not what you want to digitize, it's
Uh-huh.
basically how you want to digitize.
Uh-huh.
So, one would say, let us map people's sentiments in HR and start measuring
Uh-huh.
that. And sentiment analysis in AI world is a big thing that you are doing.
Right.
And then you don't work on it. You don't know the cause of why it happened. You got to measure. You don't know the cause, or you know the cause and you don't work on it. Then
Right.
what is the use of the digitization? So rather than saying what to digitize, let's see how to digitize. You will always, and with every passing year, you will find new and new tools to do this. Today, you're sitting on AI, and I'm dead sure after some time, large organizations will start doing quantum on AI, and then quantum in human, and all of those things will come up.
Right.
People are talking of digitizing your personal data and your profile into blockchain.
Uh-huh.
The background verification is not dependent therefore on an agency. So that thing will come up, and we are talking of digitization at that level for human capital only. But
Right.
which organization, at what time, and how much needs to be digitized? I think that is the larger question. And once you have a clarity on that, you're going to get benefit out of it for sure.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, when I look at the equivalent in the candidate world, like a lot of companies believe, hey, we want to actually get feedback from candidates on the interview experience. And TA heads will want to get that because they think interviewers do a shoddy job. Let's get the candidate to tell them they're not doing a good enough job. But if you think from a candidate lens, they're looking at it and saying, what if I give a wrong feedback and I don't get selected?
Mm-hmm.
So invariably, they always give flowery experience scores
Yes.
at an interview stage. And the reality is, yes, you measured it, but then you really know what the problem is because the interviewer showed up late. The data is telling you, the rates of candidates dropping out is high, but the experience scores are phenomenal,
Yes.
and then you can't really solve anything, right? So I'm glad we dived into it, right? I'm curious now, in terms of the hiring journey itself, right? Like, what parts of the hiring journey do you see are ripe for reinvention?
So there are two things that I see very important, and they go hand in hand. Is what you should be measuring is not the quantity but the quality of hire.
Uh huh.
And until it was the process was digitized, it was very
Uh-huh.
difficult to measure the quality of
Right.
hire.
Correct.
AI has now actually simplified it, though I'll add a word of caution. We talk of AI in every field. AI has its own biases.
Right.
You
Right.
teach a bias to a machine learning logic, and you will get biased results.
Mm-hmm.
So keeping that aside, and that is something that we have to make sure that while you are digitizing or using AI on it, what you're going to measure is quality of hire. And when I say
Mm-hmm.
quality of hire, for your organization, what is a quality of hire, and for my organization, what is a quality of hire, has a very specific differentiation. And I
Mm-hmm.
quite harp on it. I'm very passionate about it. What you call the
Uh-huh.
culture of the organization.
Uh-huh.
So you could be the best IIT guy running for an engineering job,
Uh-huh.
but you don't fit into the culture of my organization. You are not a good quality hire.
So double click on a couple of things, right? Because quality and culture are, like, for example, speed, very measurable, very objective. Beauty, eyes of the beholder, right? Likewise, if you look at quality, culture fit, they're all very subjective, right? So how would you recommend companies think through, you know say, quality of hire?
So, talking of quality of hire, there are ways to measure it. And while I am talking, I'm just thinking on my feet, and I see that people do it. See, every organization, and especially organizations which have had a history of more than 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, and have grown over time, they
Uh-huh.
talk of values. Now, values could
Right.
be speed, it could be integrity, uh,
Mm-hmm.
it could be uh, the caring that one person brings into the organization. These are values that you talk of. A
Mm-hmm.
company will be known in its culture by the values. And
Right.
you can
Right.
have measurables around this. I mean, if I were to measure, are you a speed oriented person or not, I will have questions, behavioral questions targeted to you. And these,
Right.
rather than an interviewer missing out or asking or putting it in different languages, not getting the right form of the question to the interviewee, you will won't be able to measure it. But with digitization, if I have an AI tool that throws the same questions to all candidates, gathers their
Right.
answer
Right.
on these, measures them and ranks them, that yes, fine, in terms of speed, this guy is say a 7 by 10, this guy is a 9 by 10. In terms of integrity with the questions and the samples or the examples that he has given or she has given, this guy is 9 on 10 on integrity, this guy is a 10 on 10 in integrity. And if my organization values integrity beyond speed, I'll go ahead and choose that guy. And
Right.
all of
Right.
this for a manual process to do will be very difficult, very
Right.
cumbersome, and prone to mistakes at every stage. But if I have a computer doing it, it will come through.
And that's actually a very good segue. You actually see everybody's throwing AI at hiring problems. In fact, uh, I think usually in any given year, I see 50 new startups in HR tech come up.
Any day. Yeah.
I mean, and this year, because of AI, that number is probably 100 or 150, right? But I mean, there is, and a lot of them are trying to solve individual problems or going after small things, and companies have plethora of options to experiment on, right? But you've lived through the implementation trenches, right? Where do you see AI is earning its badge? Where do you see it's still all bark, no bite? Right? I mean, you gave a very good example of quality and how you can use like the unstructured data or run like a consistent experience to kind of measure some of these things,
Correct.
right?
Correct. So it's a very integrated question that you ask, and a very interesting question that you ask. One, I think the understanding of what AI can do
Hmm.
is one of the biggest gaps that some people carry.
Yes.
AI is not something that it's a magic wand and it'll come and solve everything for you. If you
Hmm.
step out of that mentality, AI is good to go.
Hmm.
And the other thing is, where do you put AI and where
Hmm.
do you keep the human part still alive?
So let's actually, go to a slightly different question. If you had to give AI a job title in hiring, right? Would you look at it like an assistant to a recruiter? Would you look at it like a co-pilot, or do you think it's still that unruly intern?
Okay. So that's creativity. Uh, I would call it ITA,
Uh-huh. Interesting.
Intelligent Talent Acquisition.
Got it. Not an assistant.
Yes.
I thought you would probably call it an intelligent talent agent.
I would call it talent acquisition. End of the day, it's going to do that for you. The talent
Right.
acquisition still remains a place where human intervention is required. It
Correct.
makes your process intelligent when you use the AI tool.
Uh-huh.
And that, I mean,
Right.
I'm not going to put artificial in it. I'll just say intelligent talent acquisition.
I know you've sat in rooms where TA wants speed,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And you also sat where IT wants structure, right? Like there is a process, there's a policy, and with us being in the AI world now, do you think both teams are now talking the same language?
they are getting onto the same ground now. 2 years
Uh-huh.
back, they weren't.
Uh-huh.
And because I've seen people so closely in both these fields, and I have
Right.
sat on both the chairs,
Uh-huh.
so I know, I mean, the most ideal guy, and sorry, I'm saying this, but the most ideal guy to fit uh, CHRO's chair would be a person who has handled technology.
Oh, interesting. In fact, I resonate with this so much over the last couple of years. An interesting stat for you. I mean, I work a lot with TA heads and CHROs. A lot of leadership level interviews and conversations are about what technology have you implemented. And people are looking at, have you done some kind of a band-aid checkbox, or have you had the courage to make a system overhaul?
Correct.
Because what people are realizing is, and this references something you said earlier in the interview, right, where you can't have siloed experiences or data being, if you don't have digitization underway, you can't have a good AI outcome, right? And you can't embed AI. You can put it in one odd pocket or two, but if you really want to make a transformative leap, you should have the courage to make that fundamental
Correct.
change, right?
Correct.
And that is something that people are now evaluating, because pretty much most boards are expecting AI in functions, and function leaders are getting evaluated to say, has this person have the courage to take on a hard project, or have they always done like the little quick updates, right? Which I think is so to your point, yes, in fact, interestingly, it could also be that the best person to get into a CIO job may also be a CHRO if agents are going to be the norm.
If the CIO doesn't understand the CHRO function, he's not a complete
Uh-huh.
CIO, because end of the day, as a technology head, what are you trying to solve? Not just machines automation. You're trying to help people get the best out.
Correct.
You're going
Productivity.
exactly. You're going to put productivity as one of the measures for the organization, and you will say, "I'll digitize." Hence, your productivity goes up. Or productivity is better. The quality is better, and stuff like that. If you're going to do that, do you understand people? Do you know how to measure people? Do you know how to empower people with technology that they will give you the best?
And technologies with AI is so deeply embedded in our BAU, right? That and I have seen it's a mindset thing. People either are will tell you what they were able to make do with it, or they will tell you what did not work. And invariably, the people who tell you what did not work are the people who have to fundamentally shift, because they are at risk of staying behind,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? Um, I'd love to get into you know uh, a couple more things. One is you have this phenomenal eye for a methodology of TAP, right? Timeliness, accuracy, productivity. Now, if these were planets in your HR solar system, which one would have the strongest gravitational pull for you? Let's marry Astro and
Yeah,
your methodology here.
I would say accuracy,
Okay. Uh-huh.
and I'll dwell a bit on it. So, like in the beginning, I said that if given an opportunity, I'll tell you what these three are. So,
Yes, please. Please go ahead.
timeliness is time to hire, goes
Uh-huh.
without saying. So, their tap
Right.
timeliness is time to hire, and the
Uh-huh.
recruiter is the person who's basically going to take care of this.
Uh-huh.
Then you have productivity.
Uh-huh.
Productivity is again how many hires your recruitment team can do. And
Right.
again, you
Right.
bring in AI and you see the change. I mean,
Right.
it's to put it very simply, I want somebody at an associate level, 40 positions to fill 500 candidates. Can
Uh-huh.
I throw in the basic interview with AI at the same time to 500 people at 500 different places and come out with 60 good candidates? Yes, I
Right.
can if I'm,
Right.
and that's productivity. I won't
Correct.
imagine even 10 recruiters sitting and doing that to 500 people. So that's
Right.
productivity.
Right.
And
It's
hence you
not
can measure.
practical.
Exactly. It's not practical. And you will miss out on the best guy probably.
Correct.
And then I come to the third aspect, and I kept it for the last, is quality,
Right.
which is nothing else but accuracy.
Mm-hmm.
How good was the hire for your organization? And
Right.
that's where I
Right.
say tap timeliness, accuracy, and productivity is nothing else but
Uh-huh.
timeliness, the quality of your recruit, and how many did you hire.
And Sandeep, you know what's awesome? Um, we often say, as a talent acquisition technology platform, we often say we are the plumbing in a customer's organization,
Correct.
right? Because at the end of the day, the data, that is the candidate information, comes from the water tank through different sources, right? And we often say there are all these taps that you can put on to kind of extract value to get to results. So it's actually phenomenal that you have a methodology around tap, and now you've given me a way to extend that story
I,
when we give this analogy.
I realized when
I'm
you
going to
said
use this
that.
with all my new hires. So thank you. We'll end with something fun, Sandeep. I'm very curious, right? Like, I think as a movie buff, right? Is there a movie that kind of left an imprint on you? Something that you would recommend to the audience, something that helped you say lead better or think differently.
To every person who joins my team or
Uh-huh.
who are close to me and talk about it, I say go and see the movie The Intern.
The Intern. Oh yeah, yeah, the 70-year-old
Yes, The Intern
Anne
being Anna
Hathaway.
Hathaway, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I love it.
And that movie, in fact, so many things to see in it.
Uh-huh.
The guy's 70 years, the type of humility that he carries. He
Uh-huh.
understands Anne Hathaway in such a way that nobody else could. He
Right.
he is a mentor, though
Uh-huh.
he is in position much junior to her.
Right.
Huh.
Right.
So there is nothing known as positional coaching or positional uh, guide. I mean, that guy is a mentor, even though he is not in that position of being a mentor. And
Right.
over
Right.
the process of understanding what this person is all about, how the lead changes in terms of
Mm-hmm.
analyzing this person, understanding this person, and then seeing what value he's adding to her life. So I think an
Right.
amazing movie, so nicely portrayed, and I love movies which leave that happy thing in you. When you come out, you say, "Yeah, yeah, that was good." and it makes me feel very good.
Oh, it definitely brought a big smile to my face. Um, you know what I really loved about that movie was about how he's so subtle, never imposes, but always in every situation looks to add value,
Yes,
right? Very less about himself, all about the other person. There is absolutely a lot to be learned from that character. Apart from the drive, the discipline, and um, you know, and everything else. So, hey, that was a great way to end this. Thank you for sharing that recommendation, Sandeep. This has been an absolute pleasure of an episode. You're a true talent superhero. Thank you for entertaining us with your choices, with your philosophies, and sharing a lot of insights that our audience can take away. Um, Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you for making time.
my pleasure, my pleasure.